boss had memorized 47 Syndari cultural protocols, learned to recognize 13 different ear positions that indicated emotional states, and practiced the formal greeting gesture until his wrists ached. None of it had prepared him for the sheer terror of standing in Harmony Point's grand reception hall watching species history unfold while trying not to sweat through his diplomatic uniform. The reception was flawless, too flawless. Every detail perfect, every word scripted, every gesture calculated to avoid the 1,000 ways this could explode into interstellar incident. The human delegation stood on one side of the hall in their formal blacks, the Syndari delegation on the other in their flowing robes that shifted colors with their emotions. And in the center, neutral ground, waited the refreshment tables where the traditional welcoming ceremony would take place. Princess Kaelith of the Syndari Empire entered like dawn breaking over a battlefield, elegant, dangerous, full of potential that could either illuminate or destroy. Her ears, long and swept back in the Syndari fashion, were adorned with jewels that marked her as reformist faction, and her eyes carried intelligence that made Nathan's chest tight with something between admiration and terror. She represented hope, years of negotiation, countless compromises, the fragile possibility that humans and Syndari could coexist without the looming threat of war. Nathan's job was simple. Stand quietly, ensure cultural protocols were followed. Don't screw up the most important diplomatic event in recent history. He was excellent at not screwing up. It was his defining characteristic. Reliable, competent Nathan Cross, the cultural attaché who faded into backgrounds and prevented disasters through meticulous preparation. The formal greetings began. Ambassador Wilson spoke in carefully rehearsed Syndari, his accent atrocious but his sincerity clear. The Syndari High Delegate responded with the traditional welcoming phrase. Princess Kaelith smiled, a carefully neutral expression that her species used to indicate polite attention without committing to emotional investment. Nathan watched from his position near the refreshment tables, mentally checking off protocol points. Everything perfect, everything according to plan. Then he saw the server, human, young, adjusting the glasses of water on the welcoming tray with movements that were too precise, too careful. The traditional Syndari welcoming drink, pure water, served in crystal, symbolizing clarity and honest intention. Princess Kaelith would be offered one as part of the ceremony, would drink it as a gesture of trust and acceptance. The server's hand shook, just slightly, just enough that Nathan noticed. The server stepped back from the table and Nathan saw their face, pale, sweating, eyes fixed on one specific glass with an expression that looked like guilt and terror combined. Something was wrong. Nathan didn't know what, didn't have proof, just had gut instinct screaming that something was catastrophically wrong. The ceremony progressed. Princess Kaelith moved gracefully toward the refreshment table, flanked by her honor guard, heading toward the moment when she would accept the welcoming drink and seal the diplomatic opening. Heading toward the glass the server had touched, Nathan calculated odds, consequences, career suicide. If he was wrong, he'd destroy everything. If he was right and did nothing, the princess died and took peace with her. Princess Kaelith reached for the glass. Nathan ran. He crossed the reception hall in violation of every protocol, ignored the shocked gasps and security personnel reaching for weapons, focused entirely on the princess's hand, moving toward the glass that his instinct screamed was death. He reached her just as her fingers touched crystal, and he did the only thing he could think of. He knocked it from her grasp. The glass shattered on the polished floor. Water spread in a puddle that immediately began to smoke, hissing as it dissolved the floor plating with a sound like screaming metal. The reception hall erupted into chaos, and Nathan, staring at the corrosive liquid eating through the floor, realized he'd just saved Princess Kaelith's life and ruined absolutely everything. Security slammed Nathan against the wall before he could process what was happening. Restraint cuffs clicked into place with the finality of career-ending decisions. The reception hall was pandemonium, diplomats shouting, guards establishing perimeters, the Syndari delegation backing away from the spreading corrosive puddle eating through expensive flooring. "Stand down, do not move." A security officer barked in his ear. Nathan stared at Princess Kaelith, frozen 3 feet away, her hand still extended where the glass had been, her ears flattened completely against her skull in profound shock. "Your Highness, step back." Her Syndari guards surrounded her, weapons drawn, creating a barrier between the princess and the humans who had just tried to murder her. Except Nathan hadn't tried to murder her. The smoking puddle proved that. "Right. Secure the human delegation." The Syndari High Delegate's voice cut through chaos. "No one leaves until we understand what occurred." Ambassador Wilson pushed through the crowd, his face pale. "There's been a terrible misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? The High Delegate's ears swept forward aggressively. "Your attaché just assaulted our princess. He knocked away poison drink. Look at it." Harmony Point security materialized with scanning equipment. The lead investigator, a Thaxian with too many eyes, scanned the liquid remains. "Military-grade corrosive poison," she announced flatly. "Designed to mimic water, activate on Syndari biochemistry. Death would be unpleasant." The hall went silent. Princess Kaelith's voice was steady despite visible shock. "Someone tried to kill me, using human hospitality as the weapon." "Your Highness, we had no knowledge," Wilson began. "Of course you didn't, because if you had, you wouldn't have needed him to ruin your assassination." Kaelith's eyes fixed on Nathan. "We didn't plan any assassination." "Then explain how poison ended up in my drink at a human-hosted reception." The High Delegate's ears were fully forward, pre-combat aggression. "Explain how this accident targets our reformist princess hours before cooperation announcements." Both delegations backed toward exits, hands on weapons, years of negotiation evaporating. Everyone remained calm. The Thaxian investigator positioned herself between groups. "This is neutral territory. The human will be detained." Both delegations secured separately pending investigation. Nathan found his voice. "The server." Young human, dark hair near the table. They were nervous, touched one specific glass. "Silence." Security yanked his arms. "You'll fabricate stories during interrogation." Nathan's last view was Princess Kaelith standing among diplomatic ruins, staring at the smoking puddle that would have been her death. The security cell was sterile and silent. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. The door opened. The Thaxian investigator entered with a datapad. The liquid was Nexus 7, extremely rare, illegal, designed to kill Syndari while appearing identical to water. Her eyes focused on Nathan. "You couldn't have known just by looking." "I didn't know, I just knew something was wrong." "The server you mentioned dead. Suicide via neural disruptor 6 minutes after you knocked the glass. No note, no explanation." Nathan's stomach dropped. "Dead." "Someone didn't want them talking. Preliminary investigation suggests coercion, family threats. The server was a tool, not mastermind." "Who wanted the princess dead?" "That's destroying diplomatic relations on 3 fronts. Conservative Syndari, hardline humans, corporate interests. The suspect list is explosive." The investigator turned to leave. "You saved her life. You also ruined years of careful planning. History will decide if that was heroic or catastrophic." Time passed. The door opened again. Princess Kaelith entered with guards, her ears neutral. Up close, stress lines showed around her eyes. "Tell me exactly what you saw," she said, sitting across from him. "Just truth." Nathan explained everything. The nervous server, the impossible choice, trusting instinct over certainty. Kaelith listened, her ears catching every nuance. "I suspected betrayal," she said finally. "Assassination warnings for months, I couldn't determine when or how." Her eyes met his. "You revealed conspiracy, saved my life, destroyed my political position, and potentially triggered the war I've spent years preventing. I'm sorry." "Don't be, you did the right thing at the worst time." Her ears shifted to dark amusement. Thank you, Nathan Cross, for trusting instincts, for choosing my life over career, for being spectacularly bad at protocol when it mattered. She left. Outside, investigation exploded and peace crumbled into accusations. But somewhere in the ruins, a seed of trust had been planted. 3 days in the security cell taught Nathan that time moves differently when you're responsible for destroying interstellar diplomacy. The Thaxian investigator visited twice daily with updates that progressively worsened his understanding of what he'd broken. The poison analysis was complete. Nexus 7, sourced from black market channels, introduced during reception set up by the server who'd conveniently died before revealing their employer. Financial records showed the server's family had received threats, then payments, then silence. A professional operation, methodical and cold. But the real damage wasn't the poison, it was what the investigation revealed. We've identified 17 individuals with opportunity and motive, the investigator told Nathan on day 3. Conservative Syndari officials who see Princess Kaelith as dangerously progressive. Human military contractors who profit from tension. Corporate interests threatened by cooperation agreements. She paused. And here's what's destroying everything. Evidence suggests some conservative Syndari knew about the plot and chose not to prevent it. Nathan felt sick. They let someone try to kill her. They saw political convenience in a dead reformist. The investigation is fragmenting both delegations. Trust is gone. Ambassador Wilson is being recalled. The Syndari High Delegate is demanding reparations. Princess Kaelith's political position is shattered. Her own people see her as compromised, a liability. What about the princess? That's why I'm here. The investigator studied him. She's requested your release, wants you as her personal human liaison. Nathan blinked. What? Not through official channels, not as formal delegation, as someone she trusts because you acted without political calculation. The investigator's expression was unreadable. Both governments object. She doesn't care. She's invoking obscure protocols about selecting personal staff. Why would she trust me? I ruined everything. You chose her life over your career without hesitation. In her world, that's rarer than you think. The investigator stood. You're being released. What you do next is your choice. The door opened. Nathan was free. He found Princess Kaelith in a small observation deck, staring at the stars beyond Harmony Point. Her guards maintained distance, giving them space. Your Highness, Nathan began. The formal reception failed, Kaelith said without turning. The cooperation framework collapsed. Conservative factions are demanding my removal from succession. Your government is recalling its delegation. Everything we built is ruins. She finally looked at him. And yet I'm alive because you trusted instinct over protocol. I'm sorry I destroyed your plans. Plans built on foundations this fragile deserve to fail. Her ears shifted to something resolute. We'll start differently, smaller. No grand ceremonies, no political theater. Just two people proving trust can exist after betrayal. The liaison position is real if you accept. Kaelith's eyes held his. I need someone who won't calculate political advantage before acting. Someone who sees person before princess. Someone spectacularly bad at following rules when lives are at stake. Nathan thought about his ruined career, the diplomatic disaster, the impossible task of rebuilding from ashes. I accept, he said. Kaelith's ears shifted to what Nathan was learning to recognize as satisfaction. Then let's begin. 6 weeks later, Nathan sat in a modest office far from grand diplomatic halls, reviewing cultural exchange proposals with Princess Kaelith. No ceremonies, no political theater, just conversations, building understanding one difficult topic at a time. The investigation concluded, Kaelith said, marking a data pad. The poisoner was human extremist. Conservative Syndari knew and allowed it. Both sides betrayed me. I'm sorry. Don't be. It revealed truth we needed to see. Her ears angled thoughtfully. The formal peace framework failed, but something else is growing. Nathan glanced at their workspace. Data on human Syndari cultural programs, educational exchanges, small cooperation projects that bypassed political grandstanding. Slow work, unglamorous, real. We're starting smaller, he observed. We're starting honestly. Kaelith's eyes met his. No more careful plans hiding fragile foundations, just trust built through action, not speeches. Your reformist faction, they still oppose this. They see me as damaged goods, a princess who survived assassination and lost political capital. She smiled slightly. They don't understand that losing power but gaining certainty about who to trust is excellent trade. Nathan laughed. I ruined your career and somehow became your most trusted advisor. That's absurd. You knocked a poisoned glass from my hand and shattered comfortable lies. Sometimes ruining everything is necessary first step. Kaelith returned to her datapad. Besides, your talent for dramatic gestures and terrible timing is surprisingly useful. They worked in comfortable silence, heads bent over proposals. Through the window, Harmony Point's traffic flowed, ships from dozens of species, coexisting despite differences. We're building something, Nathan said quietly. Not what anyone planned, but something real. Yes. Kaelith's bioluminescent patterns shifted to warm colors. Trust forged from ruins. Understanding built from honesty. Alliance starting with one human who chose correctly at worst possible moment. Her hand brushed his across the datapad, brief contact, significant in Syndari culture. Thank you, she said, for ruining everything, for saving me, for staying when you could have run from the disaster. Nathan smiled. Always. Someone has to be spectacularly bad at following protocol. They returned to work. Two people from different worlds building bridges one conversation at a time, proving that sometimes the most important diplomacy happens in small offices, away from grand stages, between individuals who trust each other enough to try. Outside, formal delegations still argued. Inside, Nathan and Princess Kaelith were writing a different future, messier, slower, built on foundation of one human's instinct and one princess's willingness to trust it. The poisoned glass had shattered careful plans, but from those ruins, something stronger was growing.